Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And I just have one question for the trade union movement in South Africa. Was what they did to South African Airways when they went on strike at that critical time just like a forerunner to what they're going to do to the whole of South Africa's economy? Because they're now threatening that if the government do tighten up on salaries, they're going to shut down the public service. They're calling it war. Well, Moodys is not very happy about that. Neither are the markets, and I'll attach below this video a link to the US dollar rand, and you'll see how the rand is just collapsing. It's just a straight line up against the US dollar. And even against the gold price, which has gone up a huge amount since January and come back a bit in recent days, it's still about 25,000 rand per ounce of gold today. If you'd bought gold when I suggested a few months ago, you would have done very, very well. This is exactly what I predicted a few months, this happening with the rand and the gold, which is why I suggested to people, get your money out of rands and put in gold. Okay, so let's unwrap this a bit, shall we? The rand has continued to fall despite initial optimism with Finance Minister Tito Mbowene's budget. The local currency had initially strengthened after Mboweni unveiled the plan to cut the public sector wage bill by 160 billion rand. Well, that's where the trade unions are kind of making a noise now. This also came with the news that rating agency Moodys had highlighted a number of concerns about the budget. Moodys said the risks were still aimed towards higher debt path, given the challenges and increased spending and persistent risks to growth. It was also concerned about the uncertainty surrounding negotiations with unions to reduce the wage bill. Moodys also said that even if government hits its planned spending restraint, with a deficit of 1.1% of GDP by 2022, this would still be too wide to stabilize the debt burden. You can see what they're talking about here. They're talking about moving the rand to chunk. It's the only one of the three major rating agencies to have South Africa's rand at investment grade. Moodys is due to review South Africa's credit rating next month. That's in March. In fact, it's in only a couple of weeks' time. So you can see how the critical stage we are at right now. Now, looking at Tito Mbowene's speech, let's have a look at the good and the bad points that he raised in that speech. First one was no tax increases and even a few reductions. He said, to support growth, we propose no major tax increases. Indeed, there is some real personal income tax relief. Hard-working taxpayers who earn an average of 265,000 rand a year will see their income tax reduced by over 1,500 rand a year. Now that seems like a drop in the ocean, but I guess it's symbolic. Someone earning 10,000 rand a month will pay 10% less in tax. Someone earning 100,000 rand a month will pay about 1.5% less. Secondly, Tito Mboweni pledges massive infrastructure drive in the budget speech. He said over the next 3 years, the Development Bank of Southern Africa will package blended finance mega projects of at least 200 billion rand. Government has committed 10 billion rand over the next 3 years. Now, the only problem I have with that one is they're talking about raiding people's pension funds to actually cover the cost of infrastructure funds. 1,000 more crime fighters. The National Prosecuting Authority, Special Investigation Unit, and Director for Priority Crime Investigation will get an additional 2.4 billion rand in this budget. This will enable the appointment of approximately 800 investigators and 277 prosecutors who will assist with, among other things, the clearing of the backlog of cases, such as those emanating from the Zondo Commission. Now, the problem I have with that is that the South African Police Service has actually had their budget reduced, and they're already woefully inadequate, so you can see where this is going. On the bad side of the budget speech, low growth and a long road to recovery, according to the budget speech. He said, "We forecast that the South African economy will grow by 0.9% and inflation will average 4.5% in 2020. But over the next 18 months, the economy should get a number of jump starts. These include, amongst others, lower inflation, the interest rate reduction earlier this year, and the recent gains in platinum group metal prices." Now, the problem with all this is like a dark cloud hovering over the landscape. You got the expropriation of land without compensation, which is going to absolutely ravish the South African economy. Tito is still lacking ideas on youth unemployment. He says we will reprioritize resources to raise spending on youth unemployment. We will start work immediately. I'll provide more details in the 2020 medium-term budget policy statement. Raising skills and improving the matching of young people and jobs is an important focus for us. Well, you know, the ANC government don't get it. Black economic empowerment is killing this country. And the youth, the white youth of South Africa, are deliberately kept out of the employment market. They had nothing to do with apartheid, nothing to do with what happened pre-1994, but they are now being targeted by this corrupt ANC government. And clearly, they're using BEE when it comes to businesses to enrich themselves. 100 billion rand cut to key departments announced in budget speech. We are making 100 billion rand in spending reductions. For human settlements, adjustments amount to 14.6 billion rand over the medium-term expenditure framework. There are also adjustments of 2.8 billion rand to the municipal infrastructure grant. Public transport spending is adjusted by 13.2 billion rand. If you look at the state of Prasa, you can imagine where that's going to take things. Crazy. Mainly on allocations to the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, or Prasa, and the Public System Network Grant. Education infrastructure allocations are adjusted by 5.2 billion rand over the medium term, while health is adjusted by 3.9 billion rand over the same period. While some of these savings are good for the fiscus, in many cases we are making difficult and painful sacrifices. So they're cutting nearly 4 billion rand out of the health budget. When you consider the state of the public health system and the public hospitals, and you got, that little coronavirus, a clear and present danger in South Africa, this is a recipe for disaster. Anyway, let's continue. Eye-watering Eskom figures despite Tito's positivity. We have allocated 230 billion rand over 10 years to achieve the restructuring of the electricity sector. The current electricity shortfall will ease as Eskom finishes critical maintenance. It will be shortly possible for municipalities in financially good standing to purchase electricity from independent power producers. Now, De Ruyter, since he's come in, he's actually started turning Eskom around. But like the Titanic, it's too big and it's too late, and that debt burden is going to squash Eskom. There's absolutely no question about that in my mind. And I think the iceberg is looming big just on the horizon. Okay, finishing with the ugly statements in Tito Mbowene's statement or budget. A holy war, religious groups to be taxed for illegal behavior. There will be a renewed focus on illicit and criminal activity, including non-compliance by some religious public benefit organizations. Religious bodies must operate within the strict boundaries of the law if they are to enjoy tax-exempt status. The annual tax-free savings account contribution limit rises to 36,000 rand. Budget speech reveals our fuel is getting more expensive. To adjust for inflation, the fuel levy goes up by 25 cents a litre, of which 16 cents is for the general fuel levy and 9 cents is for the road accident fund levy. Now that road accident fund levy, That's just one of those little melting pots where they've all got their hands in the till. You know, it's just a complete and not a joke. But this is South Africa, the gangster state, so we just have to understand that. Despite this increase, the liabilities of the Road Accident Fund are forecast to exceed 600 billion rand by 2022-2023. Yeah, it's been cleaned out. Okay, what about the biggie? National health insurance debate, injected with 230 billion rand, and I guess the pension funds will be central to this payment as well. The largest spending area will be learning and culture, which receives 396 billion rand, followed by health with 230 billion rand, and social development with 310 billion rand. It is in this context, particularly for health, that taking forward consultation on the NHI is important. It's a complete red herring. They can't afford it. It ain't going to happen. This is just pie in the sky. This is the ANC absolutely classically reflected how they're screwing South Africa up. South African Airways is still sucking money from the state. South African Airways has been placed under business rescue, which will lead to a radically restructured airline. My gosh, wasn't it just screwed by Dudu Myeni? You know, all those little shelf BEE companies supplying stuff as the middlemen between the airline and the wholesaler. Yeah, all the mates, all the cadres. Oh my gosh, they did so well. Golden age, the golden age of BEE, the black privileged. Anyway, getting back to South African Airways. Over the medium term, government allocated 16.4 billion rand to settle guaranteed debt and interest. It is a sincere hope of many that this intervention will lead to a sustainable airline that's not a burden to the fiscus. You know why they're keeping South African Airways going between Johannesburg and Cape Town, by the way? Well, they've cut out Johannesburg to Durban and other places like PE. It's because that's where the politicians fly. And with South African Airways, they all fly first class. So, regardless of the cost, we got to keep having that little luxury, haven't we? Yeah. Okay. Tito knows how to sign off. And this is what he said in parting. Less than 2 years before winning the World Cup, the Springboks lost 57-0 to the All Blacks. Miss Universe did not win her first attempt at Miss South Africa. Winning takes patience, prudence, and perseverance. As St. Paul tells us, we must run in such a way that we may win. Well, you've also got to have a team that actually take you on the road to success. And believe me, this ANC government are a complete disgrace. So that team can't even get off their backsides, let alone run across the pitch. Alright guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed and ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video, please share this video, and above all, please stay safe.